Hi, everyone. This is Lynn from Devine Central, and I'm here with my dearest friend, Dee Schrader from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we are here to show you just one of many wonderful one card practice ideas that we have discovered from all these other wonderful people that create this stuff. There's millions of them online, right, Dee?
Yeah. Yes.
There's like too many for any one of us to find, and so when we find the really good ones, we kinda like to share. What are you looking outside for? What's that? Who's out there?
Well, you see my dog in the back. I think he's not outside because my husband is up in a tree cutting some trimmy, and I'm a little nervous. So if all of a sudden it goes black, it's because I have to run out and drag him out.
Okay. I found an article written back in 2019, tarotstudy.info, and this blog is by an English woman that just goes by the name of Troy. And she put together this one card reading that I thought was so helpful. And I shared it with you several years ago. And we just dusted it off the other day and decided to give it a shot again. And you know what? This time I got even more out of it. And I'm an experienced reader. So that makes it really, really fun. So anyway, let me just briefly explain to everybody what this is all about. Here we go. I'm gonna share my screen. What the woman did was she came up with this. This is her version. Hold a question in your mind, and then either choose a card or turn a card, and then write down your first impressions, your emotions, what you thought of the colors, and then look deeply at the card, thinking about your question, and then write down every little detail you see in the card. Now you can do it in sentences or you can do it in lists, whichever you prefer. Then write down the general meanings of the card. Then see how the meanings you wrote down support the details that you saw in the card. And that's kind of what Dee and I had to work with. And honestly, I thought that her rendition was so interesting but I don't want to share it here because I'll put the link down below to the article and then you guys can read it on your own. What I did though is after going through it a few times, I modified it. For beginners, laying out all of your emotions and everything is probably very helpful. For us, maybe not so much. So what I said was either pick a card to practice, then a question to go with it, or pick a question and then let spirit pick the card for you. Now, you and I both wrote down cards that we thought might be good for this kind of practice. We were looking for something that had enough detail in it, but not too much detail in it. And out of our respective half dozen lists, we both came up with the moon. So we decided to choose the moon. Then we each wrote down every detail that we saw in the card. I wrote mine down in a narrative. I don't know if you did because you're more of a list person.
I
So,
am.
okay. So, and then write down all the meanings you have on the card, generally accepted meanings as well as your own. Now, for a beginner, it would be generally accepted meanings, but for us, we've developed our own meanings for the cards. Then write a detailed narrative of the situation that led up to you asking that question. And I underlined the details or ideas, then connect the dots. And how do the details in the card show up in your narrative? That was how I did it. So you and I do things different, but we always end up coming up to the same thing. So
Great.
that's kind of what we had to work with. So Dee, let's launch right into this. Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Go. You go.
Mm, Okay. So here's what we did. We picked the moon, right? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the moon up here for everyone to see. And I'm going to go through my part of the exercise and then we'll just see here we go. Are we there? Do we see the moon?
I do. I
Okay.
do.
Yay. Okay. The narrative of what I saw on the card. There are two animals. There's a dog and a wolf separated by a path that leads through a meadow and over the distant mountains. The domesticated one is howling at the moon. The primal one is staring at it, fearful as if it's been here before. Two towers stand tall on either edge of the horizon. Each one has a single window at the top with no door to get in. It's almost as if passing between on the path will lead to something, enlightenment possibly. The crustacean rises out of the pool of water onto land where the path originates, almost as if it knows where it's going. The sun shines brightly behind the moon, casting a reflection that shows us the face of the moon. The face is looking down from the distant heavens, almost as if it disapproves of what it sees. 15 yods look as if they are dropping from the moon and sun, gently floating down to earth. So that's what I saw in the card. That's what I wrote down. Then the traditional meaning of the moon, well, or plus a couple of my own: uncertainty, confusion, distraction, the unknown, caution, hidden or mysterious messages, a nagging feeling, ulterior motive, lacking information, sixth sense that something is missing, and skewed reality. I also said that the sun moon represent opposing forces and that the 15 yods reminded me of the 15 points on the tree of life, which is the starting point of the journey to enlightenment. So with all of that, my question, and I'm telling you, it was I tried offbeat questions, but I found that if I just came up with something personal, it was easier to write a narrative on that. It just worked better for me. So I wrote, my neighbor started avoiding me all of a sudden. Can the tarot tell me about it? Anyway, that was the question. But I realized doing the exercise that the question wasn't enough. So I added some background and some detail, and I was sharing my life, putting my life out here, but whatever. We recently moved into a new neighborhood where people winter half the year. We were welcomed into the neighborhood with open arms. One couple in particular who arrived for the winter after we moved in showed an interest in us after meeting them at the dog park. After they invited us to some of their favorite restaurants. And after the third outing, she did an abrupt about face. She quit calling. She refused to look at me or stop and when she was walking her dog. And let me see. Oh, they would close the garage door every time they saw us walking toward their house. It was very strange and very confusing since we hadn't had any negative communication with them. So we heard from the neighbors in the know that she had a lot of medical issues and had had brain surgery that caused her Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde state. And several neighbors had reported some pretty powerful run-ins with her just recently. I decided to leave her alone and not try to take it personally. I'm going to appreciate the cold shoulder that I'm getting from her over the visible altercations that she's having with others. They will be leaving soon to go back north, and so maybe the distance, both in miles and time, will relieve the situation. That was my story. So, Dee, here is how I connected the dots. The howling dog. I looked at that as I'm the happy-go-lucky one, just stumbling through life. The fearful wolf, she's the unpredictable, complicated one. The crustacean, something within bubbled to her surface, that which I surely did not understand. The towers, with no doors to get in, the fact that neither one of them, she or her husband, will talk to us about what happened, reminded me of just not being able to get in. And that kind of reminded me of the doors. Confusion and darkness. I don't understand. This whole thing came out of the blue. The combined this moon and sun, that to me was her Jekyll and Hyde personality. She was nice one minute and, freaked out the next. The path between the canines, this felt to me like the divide between us. And then after trying to understand no avail, I chose to keep my distance between us, which to me again is that path. And then the yods, we heard that she had issues with a lot of other neighbors, all coming down at once. And so that's what those nodes reminded me of. And then the distant path through the mountains, they're going to be leaving soon. So we're hoping that the distance will resolve the issues. So that was my part of the exercise. And I think that just from doing that, it really helped me with the crustacean. because I am forever going, what the hell is the crustacean for? And I really do think that, and you and I talked earlier about the fact that that's kind of a deep pool of, that's kind of the emotions, and for me, that was her weird, whatever, bubbling to the top. And I think that's going to help me a lot. And also, from another exercise that I've been doing, I just noticed just now there is a red eye on that wolf. And the red eye on the horse in the debt card, we determined was probably denial, right? Not wanting to see the truth or not wanting to see the reality of the situation. So there's one more that I didn't even think about. But I just think that for me, the most powerful thing in this whole thing are these towers with no door. I don't know why they're bothering me, but I just feel like they are not letting me in. And I think when I do readings for other people, I think those are probably the main points that I'm going to grab. Do you see anything in mind that I'm missing, or did I pretty much get it?
I think covered quite a bit actually, and I like the idea that you pulled in the power, the death card.
Yeah, with the eye. I mean, I just know just this minute noticed that, so that's very strange.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I like those kind of things, you know,
So
compared to other.
tell me what you came up with this exercise.
Well, for me, it starts off with the question, and when we ended up pulling, we decided on that moon card. You look at that card differently because you're looking for answers for whatever the question is picking at your brain. And mine pulled that question, pick a card, and then ask, what do I really see? Where is it taking me? My question, can I go into my question?
Oh, please do.
My question
Yeah.
is, this year, after living where I do on water, this year around a lake, our streets have not been updated or upgraded for many, many years, which those of us who've been here many, many years are just fine with it. But progress is progress. And so we're having all of this construction work done. And that means no mail, water issues at certain times, depending upon where the construction is happening. So my concern was don't fix what's broken. And yet, by doing that, am I sticking my foot in something that I should let it go? Let it be what it is. So
So in other words, let me understand. So you are you're yeah, you live on this really narrow, winding, beautiful road next to the lake, and they are getting ready to rip up the road and put in new like drain tile and all that stuff on the road. And
I'll
you're not happy with it. We talked about you not being able to fight City Hall, right? So is that your contention here as you're fighting with yourself over this?
I'm fighting with myself. Yes, because progress is progress, and even though I know the road isn't wide enough to now handle bikes and walking trails, all those wonderful things, which I do walk it, but I'm used to how to walk it with those narrow streets. And now we have new residents in it, so they're expecting more. And my first thing was, no, I don't want it to happen. And now, as I looked at that card, it made me realize is what am I doubting? Why am I being, the way I am? I'm just kind of
I mean,
backy.
and Cogeny and cantankerous.
I feel like I'm in a corner, because it's all my kids grew up here, my grandkids grew up here, everything was fine. And now I'm going against being productive, I feel like. And I have to get out of the tunnel vision and open up.
So
So,
related to this car,
yes. So the first thing after I got that moon, pulled it up, and that wolf, I spotted that wolf. He kind of just stuck out at me, and it basically. So I am fearful of the unknown. I don't know. I mean, sure, they're going to fix the road, but what else are they? How many trees are going to go down, and all these other things that because of living out here. So I found out that different pieces just made me ask questions. The path is the road that's being built. It's not very big. Again, they're called the rota path. And the two towers on either side are kind of like keeping a watchful eye over it, but I have boundaries. There are boundaries between them. So stay on the weaving path is basically it's saying keep yourself focused in that piece. Don't make it bigger than it really doesn't need to be. So that's what I saw with those pieces. The crab is like keep your head above water. Don't go down into the bowels of something. It's trying to say to you, it'll be okay. And that moon, we've got moon, we've got a crescent moon, we've got the sun, we have it all together and they're all working together. But that also said to me, this is not going to be a quick project. This is going to last for a while. And they think it's going to be done quickly. I mean, we got more darn equipment out here than you can imagine, but it'll be okay. I will be okay if I followed the pieces that the moon is telling me to follow. So now, besides the card meaning crisis and conflict, what really is my question? And that is anything going to be lost with all of this
Mm.
new? And my answer is no, I'm not going to lose. I mean, I just make the best of it and I'll be fine. And when I looked deeper into this, other cards that came to me were like the death card, which is you'll see that the symbols of the gates or those big water towers, they're kind of in the death card. And the other one I noticed is that the wolf and the dog, well, there's a dog in the Fool, which is new beginnings. And I had to look at that because that kind of threw me. That sun, moon, crescent moon. Okay, we just went through the eclipse, which was amazing.
Well, that was yesterday. That was pretty cool.
Wasn't that great? So now, what does that bring to mind? The sun, best card in the deck. So the sun will always come up. The Fool, the new beginnings. I just had to go down, and those yods that you talk about.
Yep.
I was reading about those. In some places, they call them the golden droplets. And if you look into it really deep, 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 it calls for, they're called the dew of thought, which basically says that the world of the moon or your intuition, your imagination, and that's what it brings out. Get it more into that. So I gotta tell you, this card kind of hit me between the eyes and it answered pretty much of what I was kind of gone for. If I looked at spiritually, the lovers, that's Archangel Raphael. Temperance, that's Michael. Judgment, number 20, that's Gabriel. That's self development. Okay, it's like I've been missing the boat. You kidding me? It's like, okay, hello, good day, good morning. What in the world? This card, I may frame it for a while. Hang it by my front door because it is saying all the things that normally we would say, oh, here comes the crisis, here comes the self doubt. No, no, it's not going to disillusion me. I'm going to find more. I'm not going to lose anything. If I lose anything, it's all because of me. And it's going to sweep a lot of those things away that I was dreading. And I kind of wrote down with this, but really, uh, I'll be fine. It just
Yeah.
really ties to a lot of things.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's one thing to apply a question from somebody else. It's another thing to apply something that's personal, like our situation. That's why I said, let's do something, each do something personal. And
Mhm.
with mine, it just makes me realize that my husband keeps saying to me, don't worry about it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I do. I'm like the dog. I'm the lap dog. It goes, well, I don't want anybody to be unhappy with me. And yet yeah, I have that neck, don't I? I can really piss people off. But But I also have, I don't know, for some reason, I do attract the kind of people like this woman. But I think it's, it's the reality, having to look at the reality of the situation and say some things we can change and some things we can't. We just have to walk through it. We have to walk through that door or down that path and get past it.
Well, it's crazy. I have no mail delivery. We have to go up about a mile and check this mailbox that the post office has put out there for us. And there's no lock on the box. And all these don't get you. We make several trips to make sure that the sometimes it comes by 3, sometimes it comes by 5, whatever. Well, guess what? I get a walk in there. Hey, it's a walk. Lefty goes up there with his vehicle and he's checking with the neighbor. So we've got her connected with what we do. And the biggest one was they said don't order packages coming in because they can't let those trucks come in.
Yeah, no
And
way.
then,
You're not
well,
get out in a car, right? On something.
well, they have a spot to put it, but it was like, no Amazon. Stop it. I'm done. So it's saving me money
Yeah.
and it's giving me exercise. So now I look at it and say, yeah, this was a great exercise. This was really an eye opener for me to just really, really look at that card after throwing out that question. I'm glad you found that. This,
We like doing exercises. You and I do this a lot, and I've always said, God, we should have recorded this. We talk about doing this stuff all the time, and I've always wished we recorded some of these. So this is our first attempt at saying, "Hey, come step into our world, step into our crazy conversations, for a minute or two." But
yeah,
we like doing exercises. I really think this is good because I have taken things out of the moon card that will stay with me now in somebody else's reading. But it really does help, especially if you're a journal person. It really does help to if you're facing a situation, pull a card that you feel is that relates to that situation. Or I put so just because we did this as an exercise, we picked the moon card and then I tried to find what is confusing me in my life right now, right? I see that the moon card is confusion and
mhm,
distraction and what is confusing and distracting me right now. And so that's how I came up with that situation. But you can do the opposite just as well, right? You turn around and come up with, you have a question that's bugging you, and then you can either go pull a card that you feel relates to that, or
yeah,
again, let spirit, if you so believe, as I do, let
mhm,
spirit help pull that card for you. And you might get a card that just it's like has nothing to do with my situation, or does it? Or
or does
does
it? And
and
I like,
yeah,
but 18, 8
yeah,
and 1 is 9 equals 9. So it's something
that's
that's for completion and moving toward completion. And I do like to always check in with those kinds of things as well. But this was a card. If you look up this card, most times if you did a looked at it, it's considered negative. This
yeah.
thing card. But right now, with the questions that I threw at it and what I was asking, it gave me more positive.
Yeah, I can see that, and that's really good. Yeah, my go-to on this card when I'm reading or when I'm looking at it for somebody else is I try to use the analogy of taking a walk on a full moon and how everything seems larger than life when the moon casts its reflection, right?
It's the
On
thing.
the trees are bigger, the bushes are bigger, the houses are bigger, the shadows that they cast are huge and scary.
Yeah.
And it's not real. That's not the reality of the situation. So that's kind of what I see when I pull this card is, are you seeing the reality of the situation? And that's why I said skewed reality,
Mhm.
for me. But yeah, it can also mean well, see, now I'm going to tell you right now that red eye in the wolf, now that's going to stick with me. And it's not going to matter what deck I pull
Yep.
because I don't typically read with a standard, the standard Rider Waite Smith. I read with indie decks, but I am never going to forget that red eye on the wolf in the RSW because to me there is my skewed reality, and now
Mhm.
I can relate it to that card, and I will always see that as soon as I get it, and
And
that's
and
this
it
exercise.
and the dog and the wolf, that whole thing that tamed the crab. keep your head above water,
Yeah.
or asking, or which one of those animals stick out a little more, which I noticed more so. And I thought it was kind of fascinating just because we had the eclipse yesterday and here, look at that moon, sun, crescent, all right there. It was like, what the? We picked that card right on that. Oh, awesome.
Oh, so let's you and I pick another one. I like doing the 1 and 3 card exercises. I think they're great. And
Yes.
I have some ideas. I'll toss them your way and then you can toss some my way. And but I think that for most people, especially aspiring terrorists, the newer people, I think it's kind of it- I don't know. We all see spreads. Everyone's throwing spreads out there. Everyone's throwing exercises out there, but no one's really just doing them right in front of them. So that's kind of fun. I like doing them instead of just theorizing about them. And
Hmm.
so we'll pick something and go on for next time. So from here, I have other 3 card practices already on, and we'll start throwing out some 1 card. Did you see my last video? It was doing a tarot reading without a deck. And
Without a debt.
and then before that was doing a 3 card tarot reading with only 1 card. I did that one. So
Mhm.
I'll put those up for people to look at. And then you and I'll get together and we'll do another one and bring it back here. How's that? That one?
Sounds like a great. Sounds
Great.
good.
All
Sounds
right.
good.